Regular live entertainment and themed events, and offering 6 diamond pool tables and 3 dartboards, Shindigs is the place to be. Enjoy daily specials, including Tuesday wing night, Friday's Cajun chicken Alfredo, and Saturday's incredible crab leg dinner. And stick around for karaoke nights, live music, and so much more. Follow them on Facebook at Shindigs with a Z Bar and Grill. Shindigs, your hootenanny hotspot.
This is the story of a 7-year-old boy from Baltimore who nagged his parents incessantly for a pony until they moved to the mountain.
I'm going to some place where I've never been before.
There, over 40 years, I learned everything I could about the farmsteading lifestyle from great mentors.
Ooh, what a lucky man he was.
Oh, and by the way, I got my pony. I named him Captain.
On your mystery ship, on your way to a world that others might have missed.
Welcome once again, Farmsteaders Field Notes. Hey, I'm your host, Sean from the Mountain. Glad you decided to join me here on WMBS 590 AM, 101.1 FM, www.wmbs590.com, and of course, on Facebook Live. And as always, if you have an agricultural event that's open to the public, hey, please leave me a comment or let me know, and I'll do my best to promote it and talk about it, okay? We'll have some of those a little bit later. Why don't we start off with a little bit of news today? And in the news, according to Lancaster Farmer, foreign farm ownership makes ag leaders uneasy. Some mid-Atlantic ag leaders aren't keen on foreign entities owning farmland in their states. In interviews over the past 2 weeks, officials raised a range of concerns about foreign ownership, including threats to national security. Pretty much, we want Americans to own the farmland, said Chris Hoffman, the president of the Pennsylvania Farm Bureau. Maryland Ag Secretary Kevin Addix is particularly concerned about foreign entities buying land near sensitive government installations. Maryland has plenty of those, from Joint Base Andrews to the National Security Agency headquarters at Fort Meade. Chinese companies have planned to purchase farms near military sites in other states, which critics say is suspicious. I know that we don't have the level of foreign ownership that many other states do, but even at 1.7%, we share the concern, Addix said. About 400,000 acres of Pennsylvania farmland, or 2.3%, are owned by foreign concerns. Most of that land is in timber. In Pennsylvania and nationally, Canada is the largest holder of the U.S. farmland. The concern about ag land should not obscure potential issues with foreign companies buying major agribusinesses, said Russell Redding, Pennsylvania's ag secretary. The state's largest meatpacking plant is owned by JBS, a Brazilian company, and Smithfield Foods and Syngenta both have Chinese owners. I'm a bit perplexed that we're focused on farmland ownership, but don't talk at all about foreign ownership of business, Redding said. Seed companies like Syngenta have research plots around the country to study how their products grow in different climates. Hoffman isn't too concerned about those farms, which he said are focused on research and operated by Americans. It's when you come in and you buy thousands of acres and take it out of the control of Americans, that's kind of where we draw the line, Hoffman said. Farm Bureau doesn't have a position on foreign ownership of agribusinesses, though as a pig farmer, Hoffman said he was disappointed Smithfield Foods couldn't find an American buyer when it was sold in 2013. Republican Glenn Thompson, the chairman of the House Agriculture Committee, said he plans to stipulate in the Farm Bill that sales of ag processors will be reviewable by the Federal Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States. The U.S. Ag Secretary would also get a permanent seat on the committee, Thompson said. Foreign entities held an interest in nearly 45 million acres, or 3.5% of U.S. farmland at the end of 2023, according to the United States Department of Agriculture. Also in the news, this statement from our own Secretary Russell Redding. Speak of the devil. This morning in Blair County, I joined Governor Shapiro and Chris Hoffman, president of the Pennsylvania Farm Bureau, on the Culp Farm to celebrate the farm's growth and power of partnership. Earlier this year, the Culps shared concerns with me about permitting delays. Thanks to support from the Office of Transformation Opportunity and DEP, we worked together to move their project forward. That meant adding nearly 1,000 cows and heifers to expand milking capacity, strengthening our food supply, and supporting local jobs. Aligning permitting and construction timelines with the realities of dairy farming because milk trucks don't wait. Hosting collaborative meetings with DEP and conservation programs partners to prevent delays and keep the projects on track. This is what progress looks like when government works with farmers instead of against them. Agriculture is a $132.5 billion industry supporting nearly 600,000 jobs in Pennsylvania. When farms like the Culps grow, our whole Commonwealth grows. To our farmers, if you're navigating and the permitting process, use these tools: OTO support, pre-application, PACT meetings, and DEP, and early communication with your conservation district. This can save time, reduce stress, and keep your projects moving forward. Permitting isn't just paperwork, it's food security jobs and investment in rural communities. Thank you to Governor Shapiro, Secretary Shirley, DEP, OTO, and most of all, our farm families for your resilience and stewardship. Together, we're building a future where farmers spend less time waiting and more time doing what they do best, feeding Pennsylvania, the nation, and the world. Again, that's from Ag Secretary Russell Redding. Okay. Having said all of that, let's try something else.
I got beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, rams, hogs, dogs, chicken, turkeys, rabbits, you name it! Look! I got beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, rams, hogs, dogs, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, turkeys, rabbits, you name it! Beans, greens.
Anyway, you know what that means. We're going to talk about our farmers markets. And our local farmers markets, this time of year, it's getting a little bit cooler, and I can feel it at night. And I hope you realize that the reason why I talk about farmers markets all the time is so that you can avoid things like, if you were watching the news, radioactive shrimp. If you're buying that at the zipper stores, be careful about the shrimp you're buying. But anyway, it's getting cooler, and all of a sudden it becomes that get everything out of the garden and cram it into jars if you can. That's the kind of season we're talking about right now. So at our farmers markets, we still have them going on, hopefully until October. Hopefully the food supply will last us into October. But anyway, Uniontown, PA, every Saturday, Bailey Park from 9 to 12 p.m., now until the end of September. Bedford, PA, every Saturday, Lambertville Methodist Church, now until October from 9 to 1 p.m. Frostburg, Maryland, the Frostburg City Place, now until October, 9:30 to 1 o'clock. Connellsville Farmers Market, those are on Thursdays, East Side Fire Station, 5 to 8 p.m., 100 North Arch Street. Confluence Farmers Markets in the Town Square, they have one more left. It's going to be August 30th, and it's from 8 to 12 p.m. The Mountain Fresh Farmers Market, Oakland, Maryland, running from now until the end of October. It's Wednesdays and Saturdays, South 1st Street at the Town Park Lane, 10 to 1 p.m. SoCo, the Somerset County Farmers Market, 243 West Main Street. Those are on Saturdays. And the next one will be October 11th from 9 to 1 p.m. Keystone State Park Farmers Market, every Sunday, from now till September 28th from 10 to 2 p.m., 1150 Keystone Park Road in Derry, PA, in the beach parking lot. Ligonier Country Market every Saturday now until September 27th, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., plus other random days, so check their website. They're at the corner of Springer Road and Main Street. Deep Creek Farmers Market, Garrett College parking lot every Friday, 3 to 6 p.m., now until October 4th. Davis Farmers and Artisan Market every Friday, 5 to 8 p.m., from now until September. Barber County Fairgrounds, the farmer market there, every Friday from 4 to 7 p.m. from now until October. Cheat Lake Farmers Markets every Monday, now until October, 4 to 7 p.m. in the parking lot of Chestnut Ridge Church, 2223 Cheat Road. Waynesburg, PA, every Wednesday from 10 to 1 p.m. till October, next to the courthouse. Lower Burrell Farmers Market in the Bon Air School parking lot, 9 to 12:30 p.m. every Saturday till October 4th. The Mountain Areas Farmers Market in Farmington, PA, at the Fire Hall from 4 to 8 p.m. Their next one will be September 5th, and that will include an animal swap. Rockwood, the New Centerville Farmers Market, located at Holy Hayloft, Thursdays from 3 to 6 p.m. And in Morgantown, West Virginia, downtown, they have theirs every Saturday, 8:30 to 2:12 in the large pavilion. And then they also have one at Milan Park, and that runs from 4 to 7 p.m. on Wednesdays, and that's 270 Milan Park Lane. Cumberland, Maryland, and Canal Place on Thursdays, 9:30 to 1 p.m. And, of course, our Uniontown Poultry Association, they'll go back to having their buy, sells, and trades, 7 a.m. The next one will be on September 21st. Again, they always remind you to come in early so that if you have to, you can catch all those really good bargains extra early in the morning. Because once they sell out of stuff that you're looking for, it's gone. And Indian Head Swap, usually the second Sunday of every month. Their next one will be on September 14th. And that's pretty much it for that. We're also running out of fairs, so if you didn't have a chance to get out and have a good time at the fair, now might be your chance, because there's only going to be a few left.
Rise, I'm gonna tell her just how I feel. Well, there's a full moon in the western sky, and there's magic in the air. Ain't nothing I know of can make you fall in love like a night at the county.
Anywho, we're running in the middle of the Barber County Fair in Philippi, West Virginia. They began on August 22nd, but they're going on now, and it'll last until the 30th. So the Barber County Fair, Philippi, West Virginia, still has a few days left of that fair. Then we don't really have anything super close to us until September 5th and 6th. Nicholas County's having their Potato Festival. That's in Summersville, West Virginia. September 10th through the 13th in Somerset County, the Berlin Brothers Valley Community Fair. That's going on. That's always a really nice one. September 12th through the 20th, the Great Frederick Fair in Frederick, Maryland, another fair that I've attended, and is a really good one if you have the chance to ever go to it. September 25th through the 28th, the Preston County Buckwheat Festival, pretty famous one around here. September 27th to October 5th, the Mountain State Forest Festival in Elkins, West Virginia, and October 2nd through the 4th, the Salem Apple Butter Festival in Salem, West Virginia. Also a reminder that on August 30th, Tucker County, West Virginia will be having their farm crawl, and one of those participants is our friends, the Waybrights, down there in Laurel River Club at Bed and Breakfast. So if you have a chance to attend a farm crawl, and if you hear of any more, let me know about them. They always kind of let me know too late about them, so I appreciate it if you'd let me know. Okay, I have been given some notification that our guest for the show is on the line. And this is Valerie Sessler, the Area Master Gardener Coordinator at Penn State Cooperative Extension. Valerie, did I say that right?
You sure did. That's perfect.
Wonderful. And you, I hope, are going to be talking about the Master Gardener program, what you do with Penn State. Why don't you give us a little background, and why don't you include sort of some contact information for you, because sometimes we run out of time when we run up against CBS News. So kind of give us the bullet. Okay? Thanks.
Sure, I can do that. So I'll give you the contact information first.
Great.
So I am an area coordinator for all of southwestern Pennsylvania. So I cover counties from Beaver all the way over to Blair, but Fayette is my home.
Okay.
And I'm going to give the contact information for the Fayette office. Penn State Extension is 724-438-0111. And if you have questions for the Master Gardeners, there's a phone tree. You can just pick our extension. And I'll also give an email address for the Master Gardeners in Fayette County.
Great.
It's FayetteMG@psu.edu.
Wonderful.
So, yes, I work for Penn State Extension. I've worked for Penn State Extension since about 2010, and I started as Master Gardener Coordinator in Fayette County. So that's my home. I'm always going to be partial to Fayette County Master Gardeners. And I just have to say, I heard you say Barber County Fair going on right now. I used to show horses in Barber County.
Is that
on
right?
the Philippine Fairground, yes. When you said that, it just took me back for a minute to my horse showing days. So it was a good memory.
Yeah, it's a nice fair. I always mention, like, some of the ones that are just a little bit out of the zone, but like even to Frederick, I used to show at Frederick, so I know what you mean. So anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead, keep going.
No, that's okay. So the Master Gardener program, all counties have a program, and the Fayette program, we have about 60 Master Gardener volunteers who train to be Master Gardeners in Fayette County, and then the Master Gardeners in general and all across the state, they're trained every year or most years, and then they take the information that they learn and their experience as gardeners, and then they teach the public. So we are here to answer questions from the public, or we have demonstration gardens that we can teach classes, and we have a really nice program called Seed to Supper that we teach people how to vegetable garden so they can save money, trying to grow their own vegetables, which is kind of cool.
Great. And safer and healthier.
I forget
and
what else you asked me.
That's okay. But yeah, is like I said, growing your own. I mean, that's great. I mean, it's safer, it's healthier. Heavens knows, there's just
and you save a few dollars along the way.
And the flavor is 1,000% better.
1,000.
But you're not from around here. I can sense a little. We were talked about this when I called you. A little twang in the voice, which is wonderful.
I have a little hillbilly accent.
Well,
from
is that Kentucky or Tennessee or
Yep.
where was it?
It's Kentucky.
Kentucky. Woo! Good guess for me. But anyway, so you're not originally from around here, but you're a transplant some years back, huh?
I am.
Okay.
Yes, and I've lived here for almost 30 years. So that just
Wonderful.
goes to show you how ingrained that accent is.
It's hard to get it out. Well, good. Don't lose it. It's nice. Anyway, but you were talking about the Master Gardeners, and then so they become Master Gardeners through some training. Could you tell us a little bit about that? What would it take to become a Master Gardener? How much training?
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So we have a class coming up this fall. It starts October 2nd. And so Master Gardeners, or people who want to be Master Gardeners, apply to the program. And then we go through a training class. And it is every week. We do it online. We have professors, extension personnel from Penn State that teach classes. It could be also experienced Master Gardeners. And they do a class online every week. Usually it's about an hour and a half each week. And they learn things like botany, they learn entomology, plant propagation, they learn about soil health and fertilizer management, all the things that you would want to know to be able to answer questions to somebody who might call the hotline. So they do this training, and it lasts through March. And then to become certified, you do 50 hours of volunteer time the first year. So once they become master gardeners, they take their classes, they volunteer, they become certified. And then subsequent years, it's not a lifetime appointment. So every year they are required to do classes for CE, so they keep up on current information, and then they do 20 hours of service every year.
Wow.
So that's a lot of hours that they
That's a lot,
and I just will say too, the majority of master gardeners give way more than 20 hours a year. And that's what is so cool. I think I've worked with a lot of volunteers in my life, and I think the Master Gardener program are among the best. They always, have their hand up to volunteer to do a speaking engagement or, take questions from the public or whatever. They're always the first to volunteer and say they'll do it. And that's why it's such a pleasure to work with the Master Gardener program.
Well, it's great, and that sounds wonderful that they're that qualified. They're not just asking somebody their opinion. These are people that have seen it and done it and, have helped other people through it.
And we take the research-based information. That's the key there.
Yeah.
So we give we strive to give correct answers. We're not perfect. Sometimes we could make a mistake too, but we strive to give research-based answers to questions. And if we don't know the answer, we're going to say to somebody, hey, I'm not really sure about this. Let me get back to you. So, with all the information that's out there, especially with spotted lanternfly, the invasive things that are coming through, we do a lot of training to make sure that our master gardeners know what the latest research says.
Well, and I've been hitting around trying to get somebody to talk about the Master Gardener program for some time, and but what reminded me and kicked me in the pants to get it started again was you guys did a great display at the Fayette County Fair, and it really reminded me of the outreach that you guys are doing. And you mentioned the spotted lanternfly, which is becoming a bigger issue around here. And you had a great display about that. And then in particular, the display about the trees, where you had the sort of the small cross sections of these trees set up so that you could identify them, not just by their leaves, because they don't always have leaves on them, obviously. There are seasons where you don't have them. And I just thought that was a really thoughtful... So whoever came up with that, I want to congratulate them.
I wish I could say their name on air, because I do not know who actually did that display, but I didn't see it personally, but I heard that it was really good, just like you. You told me, and then I saw some pictures that somebody had taken, and I thought it was a great idea myself.
Yeah, it was very, very thoughtful, and to be honest with you, I was literally there with the phone, snapping this and snapping that one, because I know I've had my farm for I don't know how many years, and I still have trees that I look and I was like, what in the world is this? Where did this come from? What is it? And so that was very helpful. So I know outreach, the master gardeners are great. But you were talking about Penn State and this really being sort of fact-based, which is wonderful. And I know when we had talked before, you said, well, I don't know if I want, if it's going to make sense for me to be on your show, because I'm not talking about commercial agriculture. But in effect, Penn State thought enough of this to create the program or to solicit the program or whatever, and so like you said, they're seeing value in this. Obviously, this is very, very important, and whether we're a commercial or whether it's just a private garden in your backyard, some of the things are the same considerations, like the pollinators, right?
Absolutely.
Everybody's got to do their part.
I will say this: 1 in 3 bites of food come from pollinators. Every 1 out of every 3 bites of food comes from pollinators, and they are so important to think about. We try to educate how to use pesticides judiciously and safely, so that we don't affect pollinators. That's one of our biggest issues going in the future is our food source.
Mm-hmm. And anything we can do to kind of help them. Even just for instance, the monarch butterflies. They're going south. They need places to stop in between. These little things managing to migrate. To me, it's just a kind of a miracle. It
is. It's fascinating. It is. Yeah.
And so, like I said, we need pollinators. We're growing corn. We're growing all kinds of vegetables that require pollination. And, the Master Gardener program, I mean, it helps facilitate that. I mean, again, you don't have to have a whole lot of space to have plants. You don't have to have a lot of space to have flowers. Let me ask you. Let me put you really on the spot here. What do you got? What do you got going on in your garden? Your personal garden?
In my garden.
Mm-hmm.
So I love tomatoes, and and my husband loves garlic. So we've already pulled the garlic. Obviously, it comes out, in around July, and but we've got tomatoes, and I've been in Kentucky with my parents too, and they have a garden, so I help to tend their garden when I'm there, and their garden has tomatoes and cucumbers. My garden at home has tomatoes, mostly tomatoes. We've had, my husband likes to say this, we've had the world's smallest corn patch. For those of you at home who would love to have corn, I mean, you do have to have a certain amount of space to have productive corn, but I think we had the world's smallest corn patch and planted, 3 or 4 rows and of sweet corn, so that was wonderful. I haven't done that again because Fayette County Fair, it never fails. We're at the fair and have a huge storm and all the corn falls over. But I've done that in the past. But probably garlic and tomatoes are 2 most favorite, and some squash every now and then.
So, I mean, if you had recommendations, like let me ask you this. So, I'm gonna put in. What do you think? I mean, I know we're divided into zones. We're divided into growing zones.
Right.
If you were saying, as the Master Gardener program has progressed, it's not going to be just flowers. It's maybe, like you said, it's not just going to be garden plants. Does it include shrubs and trees and flowering or fruit-bearing trees? Is it all?
Sure. Yes, I have apple trees. I didn't mention that part because I don't think of that as being in my garden, but I guess it is. So yeah, we have apple trees in our yard, so you can successfully grow fruit trees in your yard. Of course, we always talk about people call. We have a garden hotline. People call and ask questions about their landscape. What kind of shrubs or trees might do well, and probably the biggest thing that we do when people ask questions like that is to steer them away from invasive plants. Okay. So, if somebody calls and says, "Oh, they just love burning bush," I want to put that in. We may explain to them that burning bush is an invasive plant, and we may give them alternatives if they want that nice fall color. That we would give them an alternative to burning bush, so they weren't, and actually burning bush is going to be illegal to be sold in Pennsylvania, and I think it's either this year or next year. I can't remember. It's been banned.
Of businesses are going to be ticked off because there's a lot of businesses that have it. I can tell you one place.
Well, they can have it. They just aren't going to be able to purchase them in the future.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but things like that, we tell people, and it's a lot of people don't even realize they just think it's pretty and they want to plant it, and then they, are contributing to the problem
right.
of invasive plants.
Well, and some of them, like I said, part of the issue with the farmers or people with pets is that some of these plants can be toxic. You mentioned burning bush. That would be horrific on my farm because it would be toxic for the sheep, the goats, anything decided to chew on it. So it's important to know that. I mean, it's important to know these, before you even get involved planting some of this stuff, whether or not you can. We have to make considerations on what else is going on your property, number one. But there's also, I guess, and the master gardeners would be good to ask about this. Which plants do better in what? Like, lower land, higher, more sun.
Yes. Yes, more sun, shade, and being from the South, one of our favorite plants to grow, or it's like a tree shrub, is crepe myrtle. Okay. And it's not hardy here. So a lot of people will see those when they travel through the South, and they want to plant on their property, and then they find out that they plant one and it dies, and they want to know why. So that kind of thing we can totally answer, because you mentioned the zones. I will mention, though, I'm starting to think that because we are getting a little warmer, that pretty soon we're going to be able to grow crepe myrtle in Pennsylvania, and I'm going to be thrilled for that.
It is constantly changing. It just,
beautiful.
yeah. And, whether you believe in climate change or you don't, or you believe in this or you believe in that, but it's a different feel from
It is. I mean, our zone has changed. They did the latest USDA climate zones. What I forget what they call it exactly. I can't. I'm losing my mind for a minute. But it changed just recently. So I think we're in 6B here in Fayette County, or most of Fayette County is.
Is that right?
And I think it was 6A. Yeah, it was 6A in the past when I first moved here. So our zones do change occasionally, and when they do the research and they find out what the last average frost date is, and the when to expect it, those dates have changed. So it does. So it's good to find that out.
Yeah.
So you don't waste money on buying a plant that maybe isn't good for your area.
Yeah, and I'm glad you pointed that out. I'll come back to that in just a minute. But anyway, but people, thinking about this, pretty much the change, how much of an impact, like how much snow we had or don't have, or the last year was a severe drought year for a lot of the area. This year has been a heavy rain spring, then drought. All of these things factor into, I assume, how well everything's going to turn out in the end. You can't make planting decisions based on what you think's going to happen, because last couple of years it's been a crapshoot.
It has been crazy. I know. And people, they'll call on the hotline and they'll, something, because we've had a severe rain event or something, and that's when disease comes in, or all kinds of things happen with your plants, and it could be just for the fact that we've had too much rain, or that we haven't had enough rain, and sometimes you can't control the weather, that's for sure. So we just have to do the best we can to work with it.
I like talking to you, because every time you give me an answer, you sort of lead into the next thing I was going to say, which was, or you remind me of something I was going to say, which was, would the Master Gardeners have good suggestions on alternatives to insecticides and for fertilizers and things like that?
Sure, so and I'm not going to say all Master Gardeners, because they are volunteers, so they get to kind of pick and choose the topics that they're interested in. So, but they could all find out. They could all answer the question.
Steer you in the right direction.
Yeah, we do offer organic alternatives to using chemicals, pesticides and herbicides. So yeah, they can find that out for you and give you suggestions for that.
Because I just think
a lot of people don't like to use. I don't personally use any pesticides in my yard at all, on my lawn, on my apple trees, on my garden. But just because I just don't want to, but if you called me and said, "Hey, I've got a terrible case of whatever, and I want something to stop this," I'm going to try to find something that you need.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I'm with you, but I don't sell any of the produce that I have on the farm. I run a small garden. I have a lot of fruit trees, though, and I utilize the fruit trees for the livestock for the most part. And so I'm with you. I mean, if I can avoid at all any sort of insecticide, I don't use it. And, the more that we get into the organics, I just think, how much healthier is that going to be for pollinators and everything else? So I just think we need to stay on the cutting edge of that, of keeping it as best we can. So I'm glad that the Master Gardeners can provide some information on that too. Because like you said, it's always going to be changing, and it's always going to be something new. And it's good to talk to a fact-based organization like Penn State because they're on the cusp of it. It seems like
Right.
they're always hitting you with, this worked somewhere else, but let's try it here, or
And we usually, I won't, not always, but a lot of times we know what's coming, even, because we'll get reports from other states that they've got, some, like the latest insect that's probably going to come in Pennsylvania is it's called the box tree moth, and it affects boxwood plants. And it's very devastating, and it could really impact the green industry. People who sell landscape plants. I don't think we've seen it here in Pennsylvania, as far as I know, but there's been surrounding states who have had it. So we're kind of on the watch out for it because we know it's going to come.
Okay. I mean, you certainly predicted the spotted lanternfly, because I hadn't, I had traveled east. I did some judging, livestock shows, and what have you, heading east, and it was spotted lanternfly, and you guys had put it out there, and I hadn't seen a single one here. At the Fayette County Fair this year, I stepped and squashed 3 of those stupid things.
Did you?
Yes, I squashed 3 of them at the fairground.
I haven't seen one yet in Fayette, so I'm still
knock
watching
on wood
for
and
them.
be thankful. But I hadn't either. But just during the fair, literally, I saw one land, and I squashed, and I was like, "This is so crazy."
Oh, good job.
And I know, right? And so throughout the week, I managed to kill 3, and I just thought, this is way to go. You caught that early, and you certainly got the information out there.
Yeah, now the public knows what it is, and they know to kill it. Because we certainly don't want people going out killing every bug they see, but when it's a bad one, we do.
Right. And I'm not an old guy, but I've been alive through some of these other ones, through some of these particular caterpillars, moths. There was one in that went through Western Maryland. They've renamed it because of the.
Sure.
I guess it was called the gypsy moth, but they've renamed it something else so that it was a little less offensive, I guess. But whatever. But I remember how badly they would go through, and the spray that they would do, and it was just so devastating. It was just awful. And they tried to minimize it just to sort of state game lands and stuff like that, so it didn't actually, impact. Private citizens, but the fact of the matter was, it was a devastating thing. They did manage to control it, but the impact still resonates, and every time that we do this, pollinators and things are also, because it's not just a pesticide, it's an insecticide. It kills everything. So it's not just the bad stuff; it also kills the good stuff. But like I said, way to go on being on the cusp of that and warning us about that one. But
it's spongy moth, by the way.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah,
we've had a lot of devastating insects like that. I don't know if you remember the emerald ash borer.
Yeah.
And that one was devastating to our ash trees.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of research being done on that up at Penn State, trying to find different ash trees that can tolerate it, that it won't kill them. And they've been pretty successful. And same thing with the chestnut trees.
Yes.
There's a lot of research being done trying to get cultivars that are resistant to that chestnut blight. Yep.
Yeah. And yes, because that one has probably impacted me the most, because I have chestnut trees, and I'm desperately trying to figure it out. Yeah, and I'm trying to work out like a hybrid or something. I'm not a purist. I'm not trying to just do an American chestnut, because those were apparently so susceptible that they were nearly extinct. But we're trying some things with that, some hybrids with that, because there just seems to be no end to what I can do with the chestnuts for agricultural purposes. But at any rate, to get back to Penn State's involvement for a minute, does Penn State do any sort of soil testing and stuff like that? Anything that can really help us out? What kind of things do they do?
So, and this is open to anybody in the public. It doesn't matter if you're commercial or you're a homeowner. You can do a soil test, and which is highly recommended, so that when people ask me for fertilizer recommendations, that's always my first question. Have you done a soil test? How
Right.
do you know what your soil needs if you
Right.
don't know what you've got?
Right.
So you can send your samples up to the Penn State Analytical Lab. I think the fee is $10 for just a standard test. They also have more involved tests. If you really need to know about heavy metals or other things, they can do more involved tests. But the standard test, will give you a report and tell you, what fertilizer recommendations they might have. If they will tell you what your pH is, and if you have to do adjustments, they'll tell you exactly how much, sulfur to put down, how much lime to put down, what kind of fertilizer recommendations for what you have. So that test is recommended about every 3 years. You can, it's kind of a waste to do it every year, but about every 3 years is a good rule of thumb. And that way you know exactly what to do. You don't have to guess about how much lime you should put in your garden or on your lawn.
Or if we should be
And then we
planting.
can help you interpret those tests too.
Oh,
Like
okay,
if you get your
good.
test result back, you can call the office and somebody can help you walk through it because there's a little math involved. If you have to do so many pounds per square feet, or sometimes it'll come back per acre, and if you have trouble with that, we can help you.
Right. And, like you said, instead of just hoping and praying and putting a 10-10-10 fertilizer on it, let's get to the bottom of it. Let's find out what our soil needs before we do anything, before we apply or waste or put excess on that's just going to go into our water supply. Speaking of water supply, how about what water testing? Do they do any kind of water testing?
That's not my specialty, but I know
Okay.
that we do water testing.
Okay.
I don't know exactly, like if it's for ponds or for wells. I think they do both of those. But if you called the office, you could find out exactly.
Gotcha. Wonderful. I've seen online too that you, the Master Gardeners, they put out like, FYI stuff online, like an annual report too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So our annual report just came out not too long ago, and I mean it's really impressive when you look at statewide. Like we have almost 4,000 Master Gardeners across Pennsylvania, which is really
That
really
is
cool.
great. I had no
And,
idea. That's great.
Yeah. So they volunteered over 240,000 hours in 2024. That's our latest report. And, if you value that, it was like almost $8 million in value that Master Gardeners have supplied for volunteer time.
Wow.
It is so cool. Yeah. That's what I get so excited because, I mean, like I said, Master Gardeners just love to volunteer, to get involved and help give back to their community. And it's like we go into schools. I don't know if you've heard of the of Mr. Yuck, the Mr. Yuck program. I think it started in Pittsburgh. I think that's where he was developed. But we go into first grade classrooms and teach about how to be safe around household chemicals, and we call it the Mr. Yuck program because we use the stickers.
Oh yeah, Mr. Yuck.
Yeah. So we go to first grade classes all over the state doing that, which is pretty cool. We will teach, in libraries. We help in youth camps. So we are very involved with youth too. Although 4-H is the youth component of Penn State Extension. I'm sure you've heard of 4-H. You probably were in 4-H.
Absolutely.
But we do have some kid programming too, which is really nice. A lot of Master Gardeners enjoy working with the kids.
Yeah.
And then
can't think of a better way to get them started. Yeah. Go ahead.
I know, exactly. We want them to learn about gardening early.
Yeah.
And then we also donate, like in our demonstration gardens that we have, there's a lot of vegetable demonstration gardens across the state, and most of those gardens donate the produce that they get to the local food pantries or organizations that help people to give them food.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So let me just ask you this: like, if a person was getting started, and I know that sort of almost you can't sort of help yourself, but you go past sort of the superstore, and here they are. They've got this big garden center. What are your recommendations about where should you source the beginnings of your garden? And what about these superstores, these super centers? Is that somewhere that you would go to, or do you think to yourself, no, I can
I
order things
would.
at those?
I mean,
Okay.
it's kind of a personal choice, I think. I've bought plenty of plants at box stores. I also love to support my local community, so I will go to nurseries that are local. I grow a lot of my own plants from seeds, so I may buy seeds from catalogs
Right.
and grow them myself. But I do all those things. So I think there's good and bad in any of those, and that's why I like to mix it up. You know, I mean, I don't know if you remember about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe, that we had a huge surge of tomato late blight that came through. And they sort of traced that back to coming from, you know, like a box store, that tomatoes came from someplace that were really susceptible to late blight. And then, you know, we had a really bad case of it here in Fayette County even. So that can happen.
Yeah.
It can not happen. You could get that from anywhere else too. So I don't think it's good to you don't necessarily label one over the other as being bad or good. I think there's good and bad in anything you do.
Right. Hey, I appreciate it. Look, Valerie, as always, I get into this and I love talking to people, and we run out of time, and I'm so
that's
sorry.
too bad.
Well, I know. And I thank you so much. This has been a wealth of information. I really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much, Valerie.
Thanks, Sean. I enjoyed it.
All righty. We'll talk to you later. Thank you, dear. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay, folks, and as always, I just keep on talking till the end. I appreciate you taking time out of your day. Well, taking time away from snapping pictures of those kids their first day of school. Heavens knows, nobody really wants to see those. And thank you for taking time out from commenting on the brand new Cracker Barrel logo. Who really cares about that either? But hey, we like to have a lot of fun here at Farmsteaders Field Notes. Try to have a wonderful week. Don't forget, we're all just future compost. Stay tuned for CBS News at this hour.
You're listening to WMBS Uniontown. Now, ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem.